My beloved, there comes a time in every soul's journey when silence becomes not weakness, but wisdom. When the Lord, in his infinite knowledge and unmatched grace, leans down and whispers into the ears of the faithful, "Be still. Hold your tongue. Guard these truths." Yes, there are words you must shout from the mountaintop. There are testimonies that must be shared, victories that deserve to be sung like hymns at sunrise. But there are also things, precious and private, meant to be kept in the vault of your spirit, behind the curtain where God communes with you alone. So today, I speak not just to your ears, but to your soul. God said, "Never tell these 5 things to anyone." Ah, my darling, you must know this: when God plants a dream in your spirit, he does not call a committee to approve it. He does not ask your neighbor to verify it, nor does he consult the doubters and the cynics who have never known how to believe in anything beyond what they can touch. The dream that is breathed into you in the quiet hush of your becoming is not up for public consumption. It is not something to be tweeted, teased, or tossed to the wolves. You see, a dream is sacred. It's like the first heartbeat in the womb, a soft, holy rhythm that says, life is coming. And it doesn't matter if the world believes it, because heaven already ordained it. But far too many of us make the mistake of telling the wrong people too soon. We lay our fragile hopes at the feet of folk who do not have the heart to hold them gently. People who've long given up on their own dreams will try to snatch yours from your mouth before it has even found words. Let me tell you something true, child. Some folks don't want to see you dream, because your dreaming reminds them that they stopped. And instead of getting back up to pursue what they lost, they'll try to convince you that dreaming is foolish, that your vision is too big, too strange, too far from what they understand. But just because they can't see what you see doesn't mean your eyes are lying. It just means your vision came from God, and not from them. Oh, and it's tempting, I know it is, to share it, to speak it. You get so excited. The dream is burning in your bones and you want the world to know. You want someone to say yes. I see it too. But let me tell you this: applause is not confirmation. Echoes are not evidence. And validation from men is not the voice of God. In the book of Genesis, young Joseph had a dream, a vision that he would rise, that others would bow, that he would be lifted by divine purpose. But Joseph made the mistake of sharing that dream with people who didn't love him enough to celebrate it. His own brothers, flesh of his flesh, grew jealous. They despised his calling, and before long they stripped him of his robe, threw him in a pit, and sold him into slavery. Now, the dream still came true, yes, because what God has spoken will not return void. But had Joseph kept it between himself and the Almighty a little while longer, perhaps he wouldn't have had to learn so much pain before his purpose arrived. Sometimes, child, your silence can save you from betrayal. There are people walking among you with ears but no discernment, eyes but no revelation, hearts that beat, yes, but only for their own desires. And you think they'll rejoice when you rise. You think they'll clap when you win. Some will, but others will try to pull your wings off before you ever take flight. So keep it to yourself, not out of fear, but out of reverence. Guard it like the pearl that it is. Pray over it, write it down, plant it deep in the soil of faith, and let God water it in secret. When the time comes, when the fruit is ripe, you won't have to announce a thing. The harvest will speak for itself. Understand, too, that the dream is still forming. It is still growing inside of you. And when something is growing, it is vulnerable. You wouldn't pull a flower out of the earth before it blooms just to show someone the roots, would you? Then why, oh why, would you expose your purpose before it's strong enough to stand? You must protect the dream the way a mother protects the womb, with intention, with quiet strength, with a knowing that what's inside you is destined to change the world. You don't need to post it. You don't need to preach it. You need only believe it. And walk like you already know. It is so. Don't let their disbelief become your delay. Don't let their laughter become your limit. Your dream does not need their permission to live. It only needs your obedience. That's it, that's all. And if, on a lonely day, you begin to wonder, am I crazy to believe this? Remember that every great revolution began in one quiet heart. Every mighty movement started with one person who dared to say, yes, to God when no one else could hear the call. So, my love, hold that dream close. Swaddle it in prayer. Rock it in your soul like a lullaby. And when the world asks, what are you up to? Smile gently and say, I'm waiting on God, because the same one who planted the dream will bring it to pass in due season. And when he does, oh child, it will be undeniable. And all the people who questioned you, who rolled their eyes and whispered behind your back, they will be the ones asking how you did it. And you, full of grace, clothed in purpose, you'll look up to heaven and say, it wasn't me, it was the Lord. So hush now. Don't be in a rush to reveal. Don't trade sacred things for shallow praise. Keep your dream under God's wing. He will unveil it when it's ready. And when he does, the world will marvel. But you will already know. Because God whispered it to you first. And that was always enough. My dear heart, there is a quiet kind of beauty in doing good and walking away, in blessing someone and not needing a parade, in being the miracle and never announcing yourself as the answer. God, in his infinite wisdom, sees everything done in the dark and honors it more than the noisy clang of public applause. And that, beloved, is where true righteousness lies. You see, we live in a world that is obsessed with being seen, a world that rushes to tell, to show, to post, to boast. Every act of kindness becomes a headline. Every offering becomes an opportunity for spotlight. But there is something sacred, yes, sacred, about the soul who gives and keeps quiet, the soul who helps and doesn't hover to see the thank you, the soul who moves through the earth like a breeze, refreshing, unnoticed, but deeply felt. God did not ask you to make your goodness famous. He asked you to make it genuine. You must understand, my darling, that every good deed is a seed. And every seed, when sown in humility, grows into something beautiful under the eyes of heaven. But when you sow a seed and then dig it up just to show others what you've planted, you kill it before it has a chance to bloom. There is no harvest in vanity. There is no reward in pride. The book says, let not your left hand know what your right hand is doing. That's not just scripture. That's sacred instruction. It means keep it pure. Keep it holy. Give in a way that only heaven hears the echo. Give in such a manner that your reward comes not from men, but from the Father who sees what is done in secret. I've seen too many people give like it's a performance, like they need someone clapping at every corner. They love the spotlight more than they love the person they're helping. And that, my love, is not charity. That's a transaction. That's ego dressed in good intentions. But God sees the heart. He doesn't just see the act. He sees the why. He sees the quiet tears you wiped from a stranger's face when no one else saw. He sees the groceries you left at a door. He sees the prayer you whispered over someone who didn't even know you were praying for them. That's the kind of giving that stirs the heavens. That's the kind of love that moves mountains. Don't give to be praised. Give because it's right. Give because it honors the God who gave everything for you. When you give in silence, you declare that your treasure is in heaven. Not in likes, not in claps, not in reposts. There is a kind of majesty in being a silent servant, a quiet warrior of light. And let me tell you something, childing the world may never see your kindness. You may never get a plaque or a platform, but heaven is taking notes. Oh yes, heaven is keeping record. And when the day comes, when the winds blow harsh and the nights grow long, It will be the seeds you sowed in secret that rise up to shield you, that rise up to speak for you, that rise up to honor you. Some folk give to be remembered, but the righteous give because they remember where they came from. They remember how it felt to have nothing. They remember the nights of empty cupboards and aching hearts. They remember when someone showed up just in time. And so they give, not to build their own name, but to honor the one who never forgot theirs. Let me tell you this. When I was younger, I gave with a hand wide open and a heart full of hope. And I didn't need a camera. I didn't need a crowd, because I knew that my giving wasn't about me. It was about the need. It was about being the hands and feet of a God who never left me alone. And now, standing tall with silver in my hair and fire in my bones, I still believe that the most powerful love is often the quietest. There is strength in discretion. There is dignity in restraint. And there is a kind of holy joy that can only be felt when you do good and tell no one. Be the kind of person who gives without leaving a business card, who helps without keeping a ledger, who blesses without needing the credit. Be the kind of person who shines without having to shout, because when you give and walk away, when you lift and let go, you leave room for God to step in. You leave room for Him to breathe on your offering and multiply it, to turn one small act of kindness into 1,000 ripples of grace. You may not see it now, but one day, one day, you'll look back and see that the quietest seeds bore the loudest fruit. Do not grow weary in doing good, even if no one notices, because every act of love, no matter how small, echoes in eternity. And trust me when I say God remembers what people forget. Give, beloved, give with joy, give with reverence, but most of all, give with silence. Let your life preach louder than your lips. Let your humility be the sermon they never expected. And when someone asks, why do you give if no one sees it? You look up with that glimmer in your eye and say, because He sees. And that's more than enough. Yes, my dear, that is more than enough. My dear child, there are places in your soul that even your closest friends do not deserve to enter. There are aches, mistakes, and scars that have been signed, sealed, and sanctified by time, lessons that belong to you and God alone. Some things, precious heart, are too sacred to be shared, too personal to be paraded, and too painful to be passed around like casual conversation. And your past is one of those things. You see, we all carry a story. Some parts are lit with laughter and music, while others are shadowed by silence, bruised by betrayal, and wrapped in regret. And Lord knows, it feels good to release it sometimes, to spill it out like water on parched ground. But not everyone deserves to sip from your well. Not everyone can handle the weight of your testimony. You've got to know the difference between those who come to understand and those who come to gossip, between those who want to hear your story to help you heal, and those who want to know it so they can use it as a weapon when the winds change. Some folk will smile while you speak and later turn your truth into a tale twisted to suit their own bitterness. That's why silence is holy. That's why discernment is divine. Every part of your past is not for public consumption. Some things are between you and the Lord. Some things He delivered you from in the midnight hour, when nobody else was watching, when the world was asleep, and your tears were your only company. There are secrets that were formed in the dark, secrets that nearly broke you, but didn't. And it wasn't because someone saved you. It was because God reached down into your despair and pulled you up with hands of mercy. And when God brings you out of something, sometimes He asks that you not look back, not because you're ashamed, but because what He's doing next requires your eyes to face forward. See, baby, the enemy loves to remind you of who you used to be. He brings it up to make you question your worth, to make you shrink, to make you hide. But don't you dare. You don't have to explain where you've been to prove who you are now. You don't owe the world a confession. You owe God your transformation. There are people who will never see past who you were. They'll try to keep you in the version of yourself they're most comfortable with. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe that you are no more than your worst day, your biggest failure, your longest detour. But listen to me, and listen well. You are not your past. You are the person who survived it. You don't have to wear your wounds to be real. You don't have to bleed to be believed. Sometimes the most powerful testimony is the quiet, steady way you walk in the light without dragging the darkness behind you. I know, child, I know. The past has claws. It tries to cling to you when you sleep. It shows up in conversations you didn't expect. But healing means learning to close the door and lock it. Not because you're hiding, but because you're preserving the peace that cost you everything to gain. Let me tell you something my grandmother used to say. You don't have to take folks on every journey you've walked. Sometimes just tell them you got here, and thank the Lord that you did. And oh, how that wisdom has saved me time and time again. Some people ask questions not because they care, but because they're curious. Curiosity isn't compassion, and you must learn the difference before you hand over the keys to your heart. Hold your story like a treasure. Share it when God says speak, and not a moment before. You'll know when the time is right. You'll feel it in your bones. And when you do speak, speak from the healed place, not the wounded one. Don't bleed on people who didn't cut you. Don't revisit the pain just to prove how far you've come. And let me say this, too, there's power in saying, that chapter is closed. There's strength in telling someone, that part of me is between me and God. You are under no obligation to unpack your past for someone who hasn't earned your trust or your time. See, your past may explain you, but it does not define you. It may shape your walk, but it does not dictate your destiny. It may have broken you once, but it cannot bind you forever, not when God has already set you free. So walk tall, my dear, walk with grace. And when the world asks about where you've been, just smile and say, God knows. And that's enough. You are not a museum for past mistakes. You are a cathedral of new beginnings. You are not a prisoner of your history. You are a poet of redemption. So guard your past like the sacred altar it is. And don't let unworthy hands play with holy things, because there is glory in your growth. And not everyone has the honor to witness it. My beloved child, there's a kind of sacred silence that protects the dreams God has planted deep within you. A quiet knowing that some visions are too tender, too divine, too raw in their early stages to be handled by just anybody. The seed of your calling, your purpose, your anointing, it was whispered to your spirit in the hush of intimacy between you and the Creator. And what God whispers in the stillness, man cannot always comprehend in the noise. You must understand, not every ear is meant to hear your dreams. Not every heart is ready to rejoice over your vision. There are some things so holy that they must be kept between you and the one who gave them. Because the minute you expose your calling to casual conversation, you risk letting doubt creep in where divine instruction once stood. People will question what they cannot see. They will challenge what they don't understand, and they will try to shrink what they could never carry themselves. That is not always out of malice, no baby. It's often out of fear, out of limitation, out of a vision too small to recognize what God is doing through you. So you must be careful. You must be discerning. When God gives you a calling, it's not for the world to validate. It's not for the crowd to clap over. It's not for the committee to approve. It is your sacred assignment. It is your covenant with heaven. And sometimes it must be nurtured in secret until it is strong enough to stand on its own. I remember the early days of my calling. The Lord spoke to me in quiet hours. He showed me glimpses of what I would one day do. And let me tell you, it was mighty. It was grand. But it wasn't for show. It was for service. It wasn't a spotlight. It was a stewardship. And I knew, even then, that had I opened my mouth too soon, I might have exposed that fragile dream to the winds of discouragement, to the storm of opinions, to the cold hands of those who could not see the warmth of the fire inside me. There is danger in premature revelation. Joseph, in the good book, learned that lesson. He dreamed a dream, a holy vision given by God himself. But he shared it too quickly, with brothers whose hearts were not ready to celebrate him. And what happened? He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, lied on and left for dead. Now, don't misunderstand me. God still fulfilled the promise. Oh, yes, he did, because what God ordains no man can destroy. But the path to the palace was longer, because the dream was spoken before it was shielded. You must learn, my dear, to protect the oil God has poured on your life. When the anointing begins to stir, keep it close. Tend to it, pray over it, fast for it, study, grow. Let it take root in private so that when it blooms in public, no wind of opinion can blow it down. And be wise about your company. Surround yourself with those who speak life, not those who kill with casual critique. Be near those who pray for your purpose, not prey on your process. Everyone who smiles is not your cheerleader. Some folks applaud just long enough to learn your blueprint, then try to build a weaker copy, while undermining your foundation. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is to keep quiet. Sometimes the loudest declaration of faith is to walk boldly in your calling without having to explain it to a single soul. God did not ask for a press release. He asked for obedience. When you know you've been called, when you feel that tug in your spirit, you don't need to convince anyone. You just need to move. Move when he says move. Speak when he says speak. And when he tells you to be still, oh child, be still. Because that stillness is not inaction. It's incubation. It's preparation. It's divine strategy unfolding. See, there are some things God gives you in seed form, and you don't shout over seeds. You water them. You bury them in faith. You protect them from weeds, especially the weeds of doubt and the pests of public opinion. God is not just calling you to something. He's forming you for it, and formation takes time. Don't rush to unveil what is not yet ready. Let the fruit mature. Let the roots go deep. Let your soul be anchored so that when the time comes, you will not only step into your purpose, you will sustain it. I've seen too many good people, gifted people, anointed people, crumble under the weight of a calling they exposed too soon, because when the heat came, they hadn't developed the endurance. When the crowd turned, they hadn't built the character. And when the storm hit, they hadn't yet formed the faith to stand. So protect your calling, child. You don't have to advertise the fire God lit in you. The world will feel its warmth in time. But until then, keep the flame burning in secret. Let it mold you, refine you, teach you how to trust him, not the applause. And don't you worry if others don't understand. It's not their vision. It's not their walk. It's not their assignment. What God whispered to you in the womb, they may never grasp. That's all right. You just keep walking. Keep believing. Keep building. Because there will come a day, oh yes, it will come, when what you've carried in silence will speak for itself. When what you've guarded in private will rise like the sun and shine so bright. Even your doubters will have to shield their eyes. So hold on, baby. Hold on to the calling. Hold on to the promise. Hold on to the voice that called your name before the foundation of the world. And when someone asks, why didn't you tell anyone? Just smile gently and say, because God was still writing the story, and I didn't want to interrupt him. You are his masterpiece, still unfolding. Let him finish what he started, in the quiet, in the shadows, in the sacred stillness of becoming. My dear heart, There's a kind of sacred wisdom in keeping some things to yourself, especially when it comes to your next move. In a world that urges you to announce, to declare, to perform your plans like a parade down Main Street, it takes strength, real strength, to say nothing and keep walking. For God, in His divine brilliance, sometimes says, "Don't speak it yet." Because when the steps are ordered by Him, the destination does not need to be disclosed to the world. See, we live in an age of exposure. Folks want to tell it all, show it all, before the thing is even fully formed. They want to live loud, not realizing that the holiest things often happen in quiet. But there is power, my child, undeniable power, in moving in silence. The loudest thunder sometimes rolls behind the calmest skies. Let me tell you something true: not everybody is happy for you. Not everybody is rooting for your rise. Some people wear smiles that hide daggers, waiting for the moment you lower your guard. That's why God said, don't tell everybody your next move. Because while you're sharing your vision, they're plotting your downfall. And while you're trusting too freely, they're twisting your words in the dark. Now don't let that make you bitter. Let it make you wiser. This is not about fear. This is about discernment. It's about recognizing that your journey, your path, your purpose is too precious to be thrown into the court of public opinion. You see, when God whispers your next move, He's not inviting you to broadcast it. He's inviting you to obey it. And sometimes obedience looks like silence. Sometimes the strongest step you can take is a quiet one, a step nobody saw coming, a move that wasn't posted or proclaimed but simply done. Because when you move with God, you don't need a cheer section. You don't need permission. You just need the assurance that the one who began the work will carry it through to completion. My darling, I have lived long enough to know that not everyone with ears can hear, and not everyone with eyes can see. What God is building in you is a spiritual construction site, still in progress, still being shaped, still covered by divine scaffolding. And you do not invite the public into a building still under construction. You wait, you build, you fortify. Let me share this truth. Sometimes people don't oppose your dream because it's bad. They oppose it because it exposes what they never dared to do. Your courage convicts them. Your motion reminds them of their stagnation. And your anointing irritates what lies dormant in them. That's why silence is a weapon. It protects what God has begun in you from being choked by comparison, crushed by criticism, or drowned in doubt. Now listen. I'm not saying you walk this road alone. God will send you the right ones. The confidants, the intercessors, the soul friends who pray more than they pry. But even with them, there is a rhythm, a timing. You don't share the seed before the soil is ready. You don't shout the plan before the foundation is laid. The enemy can't attack what he doesn't know. And some battles you avoid not by fighting harder, but by speaking less. There's a holy strategy in holding your tongue, in waiting until the door is already open, the table already set, the way already made, then letting the fruit speak for itself. You've heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. Well, baby, obedience speaks louder than announcements. You just keep walking. Keep preparing. Keep moving toward the calling, even if you're doing it in the quiet hours of the night while the world sleeps. And when people ask, "What are you up to?" smile softly. Let your peace answer for you, because there's nothing more unsettling to the enemy than a child of God moving quietly with confidence. No panic, no drama, just grace and purpose walking hand in hand. See, the enemy wants you to talk too much. He wants you to reveal your strategy, disclose your dream, so he can throw confusion in the camp. But when you stay quiet, when you walk like a whisper wrapped in obedience, you become a mystery he cannot decode. That's divine warfare. That's the wisdom of God. Let me put it to you plain. Don't tell everybody you're leaving that job. Just leave when God says go. Don't tell everybody you're writing that book. Just write, edit, and publish it in due season. Don't announce the ministry, the move, the new chapter. Birth it in silence. Let the outcome be your introduction. Even Jesus, sweet Lamb of God, even he didn't reveal every step of his mission. There were times when he told folks, tell no one what you've seen. Why? Because timing is everything in the kingdom. Even miracles must respect divine timing. So who are we to disregard that wisdom? This kind of silence is not cowardice. It is maturity. It is knowing that the same God who called you will complete it. You don't need to defend it. You don't need to explain it. You just need to move when he moves and let the work speak. You are a vessel of greatness shaped by divine hands. And your journey is not for entertainment. It is for edification. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Don't hand your destiny to the doubters. God has a plan, and he's revealing it to you, not to them. That is why you must guard it with everything in you. Let me close with this. When God is the architect, you don't have to boast about the blueprint. Just build, brick by brick, step by step, quietly, humbly, faithfully. And when it's done, when you stand in the place he promised, the world will see what silence can produce when it's soaked in obedience and sealed by God's own hand. So hush now, my child, and move. The next chapter is waiting, and the world won't see it coming. But heaven has been watching all along.